Hey guys, it's Christian, your Vancouver Realtor, and the topic for today's video is the greatest myths in Vancouver's real estate market. These myths are mental roadblocks in your head, in your mind, and the purpose of this video is just to remove them so that you feel comfortable, you feel good about buying your principal residence. So let's go ahead and do that now. And oh, by the way, if you really enjoy the stories, you enjoy the content of this video, give us a thumbs up or subscribe because we love having you. Join the family. All right, so the first myth that I hear the most of is about real estate is risk is bad. No, it's not. Anything in life requires some risk. When you're getting married, when you're changing your career or your job, it all involves risk, and so does purchasing real estate. But you know what? If you really look at it from a long-term point of view, actually real estate is a very safe investment. Let me give you an example of risk. I took a risk several years ago when we bought our first place. I got a place and I got an interest rate of 7%. While most buyers were getting 2.5 or 3% interest rates on their mortgage. And my mortgage was interest only, no principal reduction. So that was even more, another level of risk. But I believed in the long-term market because I could see more people were coming to my open houses. I could see that just the demand for Vancouver real estate. That will continue over the decades to come. And so you've really got to understand that real estate is one of the safest investments. The second one is, and I hear this a lot, it's too late to buy now. Boy, I've been hearing this one since the 1990s. You know, back in the mid-90s, I was living with my parents. And this is back in Scarborough, Ontario, a nice home by the Scarborough Bluffs. And we were renting, and then one day a notice arrived. The owner wanted to move back into the house. We had to get out of there pretty fast. Only had about 2 months. So my mom started looking for places, and she kept saying, it's too late now. Prices are too high. Where have you heard that before? Finally, she found a place on Scarborough Golf Club Road, somewhat of a busy street. It was an older house, sort of 1940s built, just had 2 bedrooms up and a loft as well. Nothing special. It did have a 1/4 acre. We ended up paying about $170,000 for this home. And at that time, we thought that was overpriced. Today, that same property would probably retail for over $1 million, maybe more, because of the 1/4 acre that it came with. So you're always going to hear that it's too late to buy now. Take out an eraser, erase that phrase. It's not true. 25 years from now, you will be surprised where prices will be. The third thing that I hear a lot of is the timing isn't right. It's too soon. And I've met clients over the years. I remember one gentleman, and he and his wife, from about 2015, the June of 2015, came into an open house of mine. Very nice young man. And he was hoping to buy a 1-bedroom in the West End. His budget was about $350, $400. You could still get a 1-bedroom in the West End at that time for that price. And what happened was he kind of kicked the tires on it, and then he said, yeah, the timing isn't right. About a year went by. He called me. He was looking at a 1-bedroom and den in Surrey Central, right? And he kicked the tires on it and then said, yeah, the timing isn't right. A year later, he calls me back. He's looking in Langley. I remember thinking to myself, what's he doing in Langley? Anyway, the point of the story is prices kept rising, and of course, his dream of buying in the West End within 2 years had pushed him out to Langley. So the timing is never going to be perfect, but you just got to go ahead sometimes and take that step. I mean, the only time you really don't want to buy is when there's 15 offers on a place, and that's a tough time. But Otherwise, you're never going to be 100% ready for a home, for marriage, for kids. Just go ahead and get started. You'll be thanking yourself later on. The fourth thing that I hear a lot of is, my salary isn't high enough. I've worked with mechanics. I've worked with truck drivers, a couple of them actually. I've met caretakers that own multiple properties. Your salary is likely just fine, okay? You just need to be a little bit more resourceful. The hard part in Vancouver is having enough down payment money so that that you can then get the mortgage, the rest of the money from the bank. But your salary is likely just fine as long as you're willing to be flexible about where you're willing to live. If you're on a mechanic salary, a downtown 2-bedroom might not work out for you. But there's plenty of options in Burnaby that probably will. So you just have to be a little bit flexible. The fifth thing that I hear a lot of is, my down payment is too small. It's true that the down payment is one of the biggest hurdles you have to jump to get into the market in Vancouver, but it's not impossible. I've had clients who had a down payment as little as $17,000. He worked in a warehouse. She worked on the factory. They were able to have that money, and we were able to get them a 1-bedroom and den in New West. Older wood frame 1-bedroom, but it worked out. And in subsequent years, it's probably worth $50,000, $60,000 more than when they bought it, and it wasn't that long. The sixth thing I hear a lot of is, finding the right property is tough. I won't find what I love. That's really not true. I've worked with a lot of clients. I find most buyers will, if they are purpose-driven, if they have a plan to get something, usually within 1 to 3 months, they'll find something. And I've a number of occasions, I've had clients buy something within the first week. So it's not impossible. And it's actually a lot easier than you think, especially when you get started. So finding a right property is quite easy. Number 7, I'm too old. I remember meeting clients who, really nice couple, in their 40s. He was actually in his late 40s. And he said to me, I just feel like I've waited too long. I've been renting all my life. I can't do it now. And I don't have much of a down payment either. We found a way. Within 6 weeks, we had an accepted offer for this client. You're never too old. He was able to call a few friends, family, lent him some of the down payment money, and I think with about $18,000 was able to buy his first place. This was also in New West. So it can be done, folks. It can definitely be done. Here's one I hear sometimes. I'm too young. Also not true. 6 years back, I remember meeting a young lady at an open house of mine, and she was from Korea, and she was going to study at UBC. So her parents, very loving and supportive parents, said, look, instead of you and your brother just renting a place, why don't we buy you a place, and you guys will share the place, you'll take care of it, and you'll have part-time jobs, and you'll support it, and we'll just do that. And so that's what they did. And same thing, they still own that property today, and it's worth a lot more than when they bought it. That's for sure. So you're never too young. It's actually even better to start while you're young, because you give yourself more time to let the market grow. I would say in about 15 to 20 years from when you purchase, your property will have doubled, even if you buy it out in Surrey for as little as $400,000. Wait until the 2040s and see what that's worth. All right, the ninth thing here I hear a lot of is, failure is bad. Look, you're always going to learn from your failures. It's impossible to make the perfect purchase every time. I did have a client who bought a place once, and the day I gave him the keys, he told me, you know what, I think I made a mistake. I don't really like this place. Now, he was a businessman. He made decisions really fast. And that same day, we talked about selling the property. And we did within 6 weeks. But there was something interesting in the process. He learned that staging was a very powerful practice, that if you staged your home, you could actually sell it for a lot more, which is what we did. So a couple of years later, when he was selling his primary residence and moving out to the island, we did the same thing. We staged his place. And we ended up selling it for for 6 figures more than a competing unit just like his in the same building in Yaletown. So you think about that. I mean, that's incredible. Selling the same unit for 6 figures more because we staged it the right way. So that's what we learned from that previous failure. You will always learn things. I've had failures. I've hired contractors to do renovations, and it didn't work out. And it helped me realize, okay, what are the 3 or 4 important things that I need to look for in a contractor? If you're a self-observant, self-reflective person, you will learn from your failures. You should, and you will. All right, and the last thing I want to talk to you about is I'm afraid, right? Fear is a natural human emotion. The first time you're doing anything, you're going to feel scared, whether it's getting married, dating, and certainly buying a home. It's normal. It's normal. And I was scared the first time I bought my car. You know, it's just the normal emotion. And I'll tell you, when we were buying our first place, my wife was really scared. And this is with me being a realtor. And she was just fearful. It was just a total irrational fear. Moving out to a place she wasn't familiar with, getting a higher interest rate on the mortgage, not knowing anybody out there. Look, within a year of being out there, she didn't want to move. So it's one of those things where it's natural. You will overcome that. It's just part of the process. So I hope that you've gotten some value from these short stories. These are very normal. If you enjoy the content, subscribe or like. We love having you. Feel free to leave comments below, and we'll see you next time.